Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's time. It's time. More than 5 years ago, 2 innocent lives were taken. Time has gone by. Court proceedings have been held. We've lived through COVID. Court dockets move slowly. But throughout all of this time, 2 beloved individuals have been missed by their families, by their community. Griselda and Dominic. And this is why we're here today. This is who we are here for. Think back to the day on May the 2nd when close to 400 people, 400 Laredoans like yourself, came together at TAMIU. You answered the call. Your civic duty. You showed up not knowing what type of case you were going to hear. Little did you know that you would be part of one of the biggest cases in the history of Laredo. When you came to court and were selected for this very big and important case, you rose your hand and you made a promise. You each remember sitting in this witness chair as we questioned you to find 12 fair and impartial members of our community to hear this very big and important case. And you answered the call. And you are now in the box. It's time. You remember when we were at TAMIU, I made you a promise. And that promise was that the state of Texas would give you a professional presentation of this case. And we have worked hard and diligently to bring you all of the evidence. Because we spoke about that. That's how important this case is. It's important to Mr. Burgos, but it's important to the state, it's important to the victims, it's important to the community. Because what are we seeking? What are we after? Through all the evidence, through all the facts. Truth. Truth. And we have spent the last 7 days bringing you evidence, seeking the truth. And I submit that we have proven the truth beyond a reasonable doubt. Why do we go through all this trouble in the United States of America? For justice. For justice. Justice for the victims. Justice for the accused. We have all the faith in each and every one of you to make the right decision. And the only decision in this case. And what is that decision? What is that verdict? Each and every one of you know, when you use your common sense, when you review all the evidence, when you weigh all the credibility of the witnesses and of the evidence, you know the answer. You know the answer. It doesn't matter what I believe, it is what the jury is going to believe. You remember that statement during the interview? You remember Detective Reyes telling that to this man that is sitting here today? He couldn't be more right. It's what you believe. It's what the evidence shows. Now, I told you in opening statement, I said, we're going to take you to Father Magdalene Park. We're going to take you to that dirt trail. Now, we didn't put you in a bus and take you, but how did we take you there? We took you there with evidence, with videos, testimony, photos, physical evidence, forensic evidence. We have accounted for almost every minute of his movement on April the 9th of 2018. Think about that. Think about that. And we've narrowed it down. And you heard me ask the question to lead detective Raimundo Garcia. When that last Snapchat was sent, she was still alive. She was still alive. Remember the time? Remember what time it was? 9:44. 9:44. She made that 10 to 12 to 13, 14-minute walk, pushing her stroller, pushing her baby with his Doritos, holding his phone into the trap. 9:44. 10:10. He's on the camera. The other time that we can't account for are those 5 minutes behind the church. Remember that. What happened behind there? Why would he go on April the 7th to scout it out and then go back there after he got in his kilo unit when he left the house at 10:37? What was he doing back there? Use your common sense. I told you in opening that Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles is a danger. He is a danger to the family, to Griselda's family, to law enforcement.
Objection, Your Honor.
It's argument, Your Honor.
I believe it's the appropriate time for this option.
What did Detective Garcia say when he heard the transmission from Gilbert Benavides? It's an Anthony Burgos. Griselda went to go visit her ex or her baby's father, Anthony Burgos. What did the detective testify? He had a surge of adrenaline. He felt fear. He felt fear for his fellow officers. The killer was among them. He was armed. He was dangerous. And he's a danger within society. Why? Because he hides behind the badge. Credibility. Instant credibility. I told you in opening that every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This story didn't start on April the 9th of 2018. I told you in opening that we were going to go back to the beginning of how this started, and it started in 2015. That's when they meet online. They enter a secret relationship. She gets pregnant, and little baby Dominic is born when? On July the 26th, 2016. In the beginning, it's Griselda Hernandez, Dominic. And who's missing from that relationship? Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles. What did the evidence show? The evidence showed that for the first 18 months of this baby's life, Griselda raised, supported, used her student loans for daycare. Not a single penny, not a single dollar given by the presumed father. What did she want? What did she want? She wanted what every mother would want. She had dreams. You saw in her text messages to Anthony and also to her family, she was studying to be a nurse, like her big sister Angelica. She had ambitions. You saw, you read her words where she didn't want to cause this guy any trouble. She even said, maybe even before the baby turns 18, I won't need you anymore. But right now it's hard as hell. Help me out. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. The text messages are there, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be able to read them. All the evidence that we brought, all the evidence that we put on this projector, you're going to have it. You can review it. She had hope. She had hope. And you know, hope is a very powerful emotion. Hope is something that keeps dreams alive. It helps keep dreams alive. Hope is something that gives people inspiration. What did she want? She wanted her baby to be loved. She wanted her baby to be accepted, to be acknowledged. It wasn't anything monumental, but it was something very important. She wasn't out to wreck his life. What would have been wrong giving this little beautiful baby a chance? What would have been wrong with that? He never gave him a chance. The most innocent of our society, the most vulnerable of our society are our children. Our children. They don't get to select who their parents are. And parents have a responsibility to love their children. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But what happens in this case? You saw the practice text when she texted herself saying, hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but I really need help in December. And then in January. We took you into the inner discussions between Griselda and Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles to show you how he was manipulating her. He would play the guilt game. I started to have a heart 2 days ago, but not anymore. Then he would go into the sex talk, but he would never reveal his rage. Very careful not to scare her away. Very selective on how to bring her near so that he could have that opportunity. Time was running out. Time was running out. His reality check is when he gets the child support paperwork. What does that mean? What did it mean in his life? Threats. He perceived that action as threats. Threats to his marriage, threats to his job, to his career, his lifestyle, his bank account. Who was the biggest threat? This little baby was the biggest threat. Remember, I told you, pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the details. You know what? We're lawyers. We go through this over and over and over again, preparing ourselves, but we're only human. Study the evidence, the details. One of the details I noticed was that he never calls Dominic by his name. The baby, el nene. Why? How's Dominic? What's wrong with saying, how's Dominic? Give him his name. Call him by his name. Not even that. The threat is this innocent little baby. And who does he have to get through? Remember? The mama bear. And what does every mother do? Every mother will protect. Every mother will fight. Every mother will die to protect their child. The first meeting in Winfield, it's there. It's there in black and white. Evidence of the first meeting that he set up. We brought you the analysis by FBI cast agent, putting them there. We put them both at the park on March the 25th. And what I put up there is the insect bite in quotations. There's been a lot of testimony on the insect bite. Again, use your common sense, okay? Use your common sense. Go back in time with the evidence that we brought you, and it is perfectly logical. It is perfectly logical that everyone in the medical community, even her own sister, a registered nurse, thought it was an insect bite. There is no way that anybody could even fathom that somebody would inject a baby. Do hospitals, do emergency rooms, do pediatricians, do clinics make mistakes in diagnosis? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And what is the number one factor that every physician, every ER room, every clinic relies on when any patient goes in? The history provided by the patient or caretaker. Those were the working conditions or diagnoses that the doctors were working with. They work with what they got. And yes, there was one expert after the fact, after the plane crash, to go in and do the forensics, that's able to say, hey, wait a minute, this wasn't an insect bite. One person who had the expertise and the courage to come here and call it what it was. And we had to, and she was brought back twice and raked through the coals. You be the judges of Dr. Stern's testimony. Use your common sense. Who mentions it first about necrosis? He does. You know he could get necrosis, right? He does. What happens on April the 4th of 2018? Stops communications on Facebook Messenger. Here they are. These are the Facebook records that law enforcement got. Same time period. Griseldas on top. Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles on the bottom. Side by side. Griseldas and his. What happened to the communications that he had leading up to the murder? They're gone. You'll have this. But they are in hers. It's in the details. Look at that little ghost on the Snapchat. Remember I asked Detective Garcia, well, what's the deal with Snapchat? What's the advantage? Well, they delete, and I said, you mean they disappear? He goes, yes, they disappear. The messages show up and they disappear into space. That man, Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles, switched his comms, his communications to Snapchat leading up to the murder. Follow the evidence. Intentionally, knowingly. Planning. The final meeting, you have the text message from Griselda to her sister asking her for the white car. Remember the white car? That famous white car, the Mercedes that he, and we'll get into it, but when he goes into the interviews, I don't know what white car, I've never seen that white car. Lies. You saw through the communications how he even talks to her. Are you in the white car? Remember when they get to the Winfield Park? Is that you in the white car? Manipulation, deception, lies. All of that is evidence. April 9th, 2018. The timeline. through the concerted effort of law enforcement, the DA's office, Laredo Police Department, FBI, Customs and Border Protection, everyone, all hands on deck. Double homicide, all the resources to find the killer. We brought it to you. You saw the level of investigation that was done. From the moment he left his house, we have the video. When he arrives at the Border Patrol station, in his uniform, you remember, and I'll get into that right now. The morning of April 9th at 8:29, remember his vehicle is spotted or marked at the crime scene. It's at the crime scene early that morning. Griselda and Dominic arrive around 9:05. He Snapchats at 9:27. The Snapchat records are in evidence. We went over them with you. You see that the sender and the person who received it. Griselda's final Snapchat at 9:44. She was still alive. Probably walking and getting near the dirt trail. The radio GPS places Burgos Aviles at 9:49. Remember, what did Miss Stevens say when you turn off the unit? The GPS marks. Remember that at 9:49? And what was the next time? 10:10. Twice he turns it off. She's walking into the trap around 9:45, 9:46. The last transmission we have and photograph that you saw off of the camera, the drawbridge camera from DPS, is at 10:10. 16 minutes. In there is when he took 2 lives. He departs the crime scene at 10:10. He arrives home in shorts. You saw it. He was in uniform that morning. He's arriving at home with shorts and tennies. (10:37), 10 minutes later, he's getting back in his kilo unit 66119. As he's stepping on, watch the video, you'll see he's in socks. You'll see he's not wearing his boots. Where are his boots? His boots are in the kilo unit. He puts them on. Phones travel with him, with Burgos Aviles. The phones. Teléfonos. Teléfonos. He forgot the phones. He speaks to Agent Dennison, Agent Lara. 11:18. That's when he discovers the body of the female.
Lara, copy 6-8. Hey, bro, I need your help right here, bro. By Bristol, man. Hey, 946-8, I'm gonna need EMS ASAP at the end of Bristol. Bristol, the River Road, the ATV Trail. And this is subject here needs help, ASAP. 940, I don't know yet, stand by, let me go check. Just have them come over here. Yeah, 10-4, I'm here with Lara. Any other agents heading this way, just stand by. Stand by.
The crime scene. The crime scene. 11:18, he goes back to that brushy area along the river where he lied in wait. He used his skills. He used the brush. He used the camouflage to ambush, and with vicious and violent blows, attacks Griselda. The evidence is there. It's in the autopsy reports. But panic equals mistakes. Panic equals mistakes. You remember, you saw the photos, the phones. These were found in Kilo Unit 66119. Griselda's and Dominic's phones. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the amount of adrenaline and fear running through his veins after he just killed 2 innocent people in cold blood? One being his own son and the mother of that innocent baby. And then trying to stage the crime. Can you imagine the adrenaline rush running through the veins of trying to get out of there and make it look like someone else attacked these 2 people? And that's why he made mistakes. That's how those phones ended up right here, right on his vest. And that's why this belt keeper that holds his Sam Brown, where is the these belt keepers, you heard officer after officer testify. How many of these are standard in order to hold this up to your belt? 4. This one, full of dirt, full of mud, found under the driver's seat with Griselda's blood. She marked her killer. She marked her killer. You have the photos. The dirt trail tells a story. Remember, I told you that in opening. That dirt trail that we took you there through all of the evidence, all of the photographs, the video, tells a story. It tells a tragic and horrific story of the last seconds of 2 people's lives who lives should not have ended that way. It is hard to comprehend why people murder. That's not, motive is not an element. No matter what reasons he had, he did not have the right to end their lives. Not like that. Not the way he did. Not a law enforcement officer. Not a young mother. Not an innocent baby. She went there that day with hope that he would accept his son. This is how he left her. This is how he left her. You know what? Maybe it was some dogs. Maybe she got beat up last night. He had the audacity to say that. And this is how he left this innocent baby. Drenched in blood. It's in evidence. 5 or 6 bags of hair found on the trail. Hair, long strands of hair that were cut off. You saw the number of clusters of stab wounds to the back of her head. Long hair on the dirt trail. The bloody rock, drenched with her blood. What does he do? He walks over the trail, kicks the rock, moves the rock, drags his feet. But you remember all that testimony. The shoes. The left shoe, he comes walking and throws it by her body. The right shoe found over there by the river, trying to make it seem like she was coming from the riverbanks, staging the crime. What did I tell you? What did I tell you at jury selection? The biggest enemy that law enforcement has in trying to solve a crime is time. Who decides where? Who decides when? Who decides how to commit the crime? Who's able to plan it? He's able to plan it. He's able to decide when, where, how. That's what the evidence shows. Every little detail. You have it. Maybe Dominic speaks to you guys with his innocent blood. With his fresh haircut that the officer Cortez testified to. You just need to listen. All you need to do is listen. And if you listen, you'll learn. Look at the evidence. Look at it. Listen to it. Learn from it. It's there. Look at the shirt. Do you see where the knife went through the shirt? Do you see where the knife went through the shirt? Do you see where that knife went into that 1-inch penetrating cut to the chest? No. You don't see it because it's not there. The person who punctured that little sternum didn't go through the shirt. He lifted the shirt. He lifted it. And he went for the heart. That man who sits here today, the United States Border Patrol supervisory agent, he went for the heart of this innocent, beautiful baby boy. Dominic's clues. Listen. He speaks to us. How does he speak to us? Little Dominic put his blood everywhere so law enforcement can find it. So that Miss Nicole, who came here, and she said, well, let me tell you something, Mr. Boggs. It may be meaningless to you, but it's not meaningless to me. Remember that? It's not meaningless to me. I do the analysis. I make the match with what I got. There was no contamination in this case. There was no contamination. The evidence was preserved. The chain of custody was followed. It was taken to the lab at Bexar County. You got that expert who came over here with no agenda, no motive, no conspiracy, but only to tell the truth. And what did it show? You have the DNA results. Dominic's blood on his mother's phone and Mama's blood on Dominic's phone. Mama's blood on Dominic's phone. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? He kills Griselda. His hands are full of blood. He goes to Dominic's stroller. He unbuckles him with his hands full of Griselda's blood. It's on Exhibit 4. Nicole told you, Griselda's blood on the stroller, where I told you he unbuckled the baby. There's blood splatters on the canopy where she was attacked from behind, and the blood falls on the canopy. The fight goes 20 to 25 yards down the dirt trail till she finally loses the fight. She's overpowered by strength and violence. He goes, gets the baby. He's probably playing with his phone. He puts her blood on his phone, on that cricket. He takes him over. He kills him. Then what? I need to go get her phone. Then he goes back. He grabs Griselda's phone. And guess what? He puts Dominic's blood on her phone. He throws him in the truck. Then he's full of blood. He goes by the tailgate. There it is. He rubs the tailgate. Maybe when he's taking off the pants. Maybe when he's leaning, trying to take off the tennies. The blood transfer. Dominic says, tag, you're it. Mark's the killer. You need to listen. Look at that. And then the blood inside the truck. The blood flakes. Blood everywhere. He didn't count for that. He did not plan for that. He did not plan for that fight. Griselda speaks to you also with her blood. Her blood on the rock, her blood on the stroller, on the canopy, on the belt keeper, and on her little angel's phone. Her blood. It's all there for you. His statement. Voluntarily, knowingly, and in his training. You have it. You have it here. The Miranda warnings. You saw the recording. What did it say? Let's just get to it, man. Come over here. I want to talk to you. Let's just get to it. This is a law enforcement officer, okay? This is not your ordinary Joe Blow. This guy, he's a supervisor. He's taking courses. He's certified. He's taken courses on crime scene preservation. Here you go. You have it right here. He's got the transfer of physical evidence. It's in here. These are the courses. This guy, he moved up through the ranks there at Border Patrol. Miranda training, States Exhibit 515.9, right here. You can't say that he didn't know what his rights were. Because he's somebody that has sat on the other side of the table reading Miranda warnings to people who he may arrest. He's knowledgeable. You saw his demeanor in that room. You saw the charades he was playing, the act that he was putting on. Well, I don't know about that shit about crime scenes. Really? Basic, but Lara does? Dennison does? No, I don't know anything about that. Deflecting. Always deflecting. Now, you have the benefit now of sitting here for 7 days and getting all the evidence. What he didn't know back then, as he sat there on April the 9th, was that all of his lies were going to be exposed through a thorough investigation. Okay, so now we have the benefit of the investigation to compare to his statement back then at the time, and you get to see how he's attempting to manipulate the situation. These are just some examples. Oh, there's a dead body, you know, there's dead people. Listen to his statements throughout the initial stages. He uses people. Was it a person? It was a girl. Starts getting confused. We are the Border Patrol. We don't got shit about crime scene shit. That's what he says. That's not true. I mean, she could have been unconscious. I can't, what do you say? I don't want to call in and say she's dead. I mean, every officer, every law enforcement officer that was there said she was deceased. Right? So what does he do? He wants to deflect. He says, I don't, maybe she was unconscious. Then he says, well, Lara said, I don't think she's gone yet. You heard Agent Lara. We're going to go over his testimony. Agent Lara never said that. At the time, I only thought she got beat up. This is the woman who has his baby, okay? This is the woman who has his 18-month-old son, who he denies. He denies her. Lara said something about dogs. I found the shoe. I found the stroller. He didn't find the shoe. He didn't. The shoe that he brought over. Then he tries to take credit for finding a stroller. You heard Agent Dennison. You heard Agent Dennison. I don't know whose car it is. How many times through the evidence did you see the white Mercedes being discussed prior to this date? And he has the audacity to sit there and tell two homicide detectives that he doesn't know and has never seen that car before. And then, well, maybe I've seen that car. Right? Lying that was the first time he saw that car. Well, it rings a bell. That was the most they got out of him. It rings a bell. Well, I saw her 2-3 weeks ago. It's like you killed her this morning. If you snapped, what did Reyes tell him? Listen, man, you know, just tell us the truth, man. No, the last time I saw her was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Last time I talked to her was about maybe a week ago. Come on, dude, you. And he's real smart. He goes, check the phone. Check the phone. Thinking about Snapchat, right? Those messages disappear. So he's challenging the law enforcement, right? She was smarter than him. She took some screenshots of some of the Snapchats, remember? She went into that tile, takes the screenshot. Something in her told her not to trust him. And she took those screenshots. I wasn't supposed to meet shit, no one. Continue. He denies meeting the child. Hard to explain the situation for the fucking jury. If you're looking for me to say I shot her in the face, I can't do that shit, man. Do you know why? Because I'm not gonna fucking jail for something I didn't fucking do. He likes to throw out the F-bombs as a default. I don't know if you noticed that every time he's confronted with the truth, he starts throwing F-bombs to deflect. Because of this shit, because I hit it 2 years ago, I'm fucking guilty of it. Because I hit it 2 years ago, because he got her pregnant. Listen to the way he's talking about the person that he just killed. No remorse. It ain't fucking fair. You saw it. You listened to it. He says that. It ain't fucking fair. Nope. It was never like that, man. She was never on you like that. I'm telling you, she's not that type of person. She was never like that. Oh, you better man up and this and that. It looks like she took a beating from last night or whatever. It's a fucking major coincidence. You know what? He's right. He is right about one thing. She wasn't out to destroy him. She wasn't out to ruin his life. She just wanted support for his baby. Man up. Help me out. This little boy that looks like you, he almost identical to his own son. Never a moment of clarity. Never a moment of saying, wait a minute, what am I doing? There was still time. There was still time after he killed Griselda. There was still time to stop. Leave the baby in the grass. Stop. That tells you how depraved of a heart he has to follow through. And when Dominic didn't die with the first stab, what does he do? He transects the jugular, the carotid. It's not a mystery. I know what's coming because I'm not fucking stupid. I know what's fucking coming. I can freaking easily show you guys that me and her were fucking good. I never had an issue with her. That's right. That's right. Never had an issue with her. So why kill her? I won't give you fucking shit. Remember when he asked, well, let us see your phone. Let us help you. You know, we want to help prove, clear you from this. Can we see your phone? Now, I'm not going to give you fucking shit. No way. I'm not giving you the password of my phone. I didn't speak with her today. Probably, I'm gonna apologize for. You're gonna apologize for investigating me. I'm gonna want an apology when all this is done. And then Reyes walks in and he's like, "Well, I was just telling him about the child support." Did you remember Elizondo? Hey, dude, you didn't mention that, dude. What are you saying? Well, yeah, I tried to tell you about the process, man. Dude, you didn't tell me anything about the child support. Lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. We brought you state witnesses.
10 minutes.
Angelica Hernandez. You heard her, the sister. She confirmed the relationship with Anthony. Even the name that he gave her at the beginning was his middle name. So that later on, if things got ugly, he was Anthony. He wasn't Ronald. He was Anthony. He challenged Reyes at the time, hey, take me to go see the sister. Why? Because they had never seen him. Aren't you going to take me? Take me to who's accusing me? Hey, dude, take me over there so that they could see me, because he knew that they had never seen him. She confirmed the April 9th meeting. She owns a Mercedes-Benz. You heard from her how she lent it to her sister. And she also was the one that went to call Dr. Stern on April the 12th to say, Dr. Stern, please check my nephew. I don't think it was an insect bite. That's how it all started. Dr. Rodriguez, he had a working diagnosis. But one of the most important things that came out of Dr. Rodriguez's testimony was when I asked him, okay, now that the word syringe has come out, does that change, would that change your diagnosis? He said, that would expand, was the word he used. I wrote it down. That would expand my working diagnosis. Meaning, so it would open it up to another diagnosis? Yes. But I don't remember what he called it. You all heard him. I mean, it was a puncture, right? A pinpoint type lesion, I think he said. Pinpoint lesion. So you mean a puncture? Yeah, it was a puncture. But now we're introducing syringes into the formula. He's like, okay, well, I didn't know that then, but now if you're telling me they found syringes, maybe my working diagnosis would expand. I was going with what the ER had said and what the clinic had said. What was also significant about him was he said Dominic's condition never improved. His condition was actually getting worse. I wish that we would be able to find out what substance was put in him. And I wish that we could have found the weapon, and I wish we could have found the bloody clothes. But we have given you enough beyond a reasonable doubt to convict. Dr. Corinne Stern. Hold on. Dr. Corinne Stern. You didn't hear from her once, you heard from her twice. She didn't perform the autopsy. But based on something that's rarely happened to her in her career, you heard her, right? She had a family member come over there and say, please check my nephew's leg. Now that he's dead, it all makes sense. Please check his leg. She goes, she cuts open the leg, she finds the black, dead, necrotic tissue deep in the tissue. And she calls it like she sees it, plain and simple. They want to say, well, you in Alabama, you had all these other medical pathologists that turned on you and testified against you, and that the DA dismissed your case. Hey, we're not in Alabama. We're in Texas. And we do things differently in Texas. We need to send Alabama a message, because she's telling you the truth. Common sense. Common sense. Even today when I ask her, do you still stand by your opinion? I absolutely do. She never tried to make herself out as being some super medical pathologist, that Nobel Prize winner. She's just, hey, I'm a medical examiner, and this is what I saw. You guys can believe it or not. That's what I saw. And that's my opinion. You guys are the ones that decide. Adriana Flores, she's a criminal her friend, what was it with her? She said, I was the last one. How do I look? Wish me luck. How do I look? Wish me luck. The last one to see her alive. Bradley Dennison. This guy's I tell you what, an amazing agent on what he did that day. One of the most significant parts of his testimony was when he said, to me, it looked like an ambush. This guy's 17 years walking the brush in South Texas, cutting trails, looking for sign. And what did he tell you? There was a circle or a patch of grass where somebody was pressing the grass. Okay, let's go with that. Imagine you're about to kill your own son and the mother, and you're hiding in the grass, and you're getting ready to do this violent act. And you're waiting, and you're pacing, and you're getting yourself ready to do this. Now, I doubt he was just sitting there calm, leaning on a tree. This guy was getting pumped up for the moment of truth. It was going to happen. And the grass was there. It was pressed down on the side of the trail. Lara, you heard him. The odd behavior that he saw. He takes the lead and he sees all the contamination that his supervisor's doing. It doesn't make sense, but it made sense later on. Elizabeth Stevens, Motorola, she places him, and you saw my co-counsel when he questioning her. She puts him right at the Border Patrol Station North, puts him on that trail through Motorola. Albert Cortez, he's the first officer on the scene. It's a bloody crime scene. He says Dominic looked like he was placed, not thrown. Gilbert Benavides, you remember his testimony?
Little 3 Gilbert. This is going to be the 20th. She's at this morning and she hasn't answered for the last 4 hours. She was supposed to be baby daddy or the ex, Anthony Burgos, who's a Border Patrol agent.
What did he tell Detective Ricardo Ramirez? I don't even know who the owner of the car is. I have lots of exes. So if you could extend me 5 minutes, please. I have lots of exes, he tells the detective. I don't even know who's in that car. Greg de la Cruz, he takes the belt. He takes the belt off of him, and it just falls in his hands. He catches it. He also takes the phone, puts him in the unit, and you remember what he says when he gets in the unit, right? Teléfonos. Andrew Masters, FBI certified. What was one of the main emphasis by FBI agent Masters? He used 5 independent sources to make his analysis. It wasn't one. There was a big there was a big emphasis put on, well, Sprint gives you this disclaimer. He was trying to explain, I just was not using Sprint by itself. I'm using a combination of different sources. Now, if a source on the antenna says that they're outside the Webb County Courthouse, okay, and then a camera from City Hall picks up the car there, well, then you can conclude that the signal was accurate. He put layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. And that's how we were able to put together for you that compilation. All the sources yielded the same results. And it places Burgos, Aviles, and Griselda's phones at the crime scene, at his house, and all the important places. Adriana Escamilla, she's the investigator. She gets the camera from the drawbridge image. She gets the work schedule, the vehicle assignment, his certifications, and the child support letter at his desk. One of the most interesting courses that he took was on the weapons course. He was certified. Dealing with knives, you have it there. This guy was trained, he was skilled, okay? There was only 2 units with that spotlight on duty that day. Kilo 66119 being driven by this man right here, Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles, on the job, wearing his uniform under the color of law, commits a double homicide. Nicole Morales, she establishes Burgos Aviles as a father. You have her DNA analysis. There it is. The stroller, Griselda. The canopy, Griselda. The headrest, Griselda. The belt buckle, Griselda. The belt keeper, Griselda. The rock, Griselda. The passenger door, Griselda. The cricket phone, Griselda. The rear passenger floorboard of the Kilo unit, Dominic. The cricket phone, Dominic. The ZTE phone, Dominic. The tailgate, Dominic. The science doesn't lie. The science doesn't lie. Detective Rick Reyes, Ronald. Remember, he gives him that incomplete name, trying to throw him off. Why? Because they know him as Anthony. It's like, dude, tell me your fucking name. Oh, that's because you didn't ask me. Web of lies. 27 stab wounds, Dr. Fernandez. The carotid and jugular are transected. Ladies and gentlemen, the person who did this, the individual that did this, had, what did he say? They had knowledge. They had knowledge on where and how to kill the person. You have the evidence. The 27 stab wounds to her head, her shoulders, her arms, her wrists, her hands, her back, her ear. All at the hands of this man. Supervisory Border Patrol Agent Ronald Anthony Burgos Aviles. What does he say? Targeted the vital areas with a sharp object. And what was most amazing of his testimony is that both mother and child were killed in the same fashion, transecting the jugular and the carotid arteries on the same side. You have it. He knew what he was doing in ending their lives. The detective, lead investigator, he brought you the digital evidence, the video surveillance, Facebook, Snapchat, the timeline, the syringes. It's not a coincidence. Dr. Stern said, find some syringes in the lunchbox. Weeks later, syringes are found. They bring you evidence of him being on testosterone. That's fine. All it does is establish that he has access to syringes. What did he put in that child on March the 25th? Intent. Knowingly. Trying to end him.
Hey, he's the guy that found the body. He's the Border Patrol agent that found the body. Does anybody have visual on him?
What's missing? The murder weapon, the bloody clothes, and the 5 minutes by the church. Everything under his control. The murder weapon, the bloody clothes, and the 5 minutes by the church. There he is, calculating, manipulative, and deceptive, hiding behind the badge. Lucky they are. Think about that. What were the last words that Adriana said to Griselda? Or what Griselda said to Adriana? Wish me luck. How do I look? Wish me luck. And then the little baby is wearing a shirt, a baby Yoda, and it says, lucky I am. And I'll tell you what, the luck wasn't with him on that day. It wasn't with him on that day. But the luck is with him now. The luck is with him now because they have you. They have you. He's guilty. The only thing left for you to do is to go in there and find him guilty on both counts. Find him guilty